Denver 7 On Demand is brought to you by Ferguson and BAC Appliance Center, the best in bath, kitchen, and lighting for your home.
I'm Ann Trujillo with the latest from Denver 7. The family of Shanann Watts has been through the unthinkable, and yet some people refuse to let the family grieve in peace. It was enough to have her father fly halfway across the country, stand in front of the home where his daughter and granddaughters were killed, and beg for the harassment to end. Online commentators say Shanann killed her children, despite her husband being sentenced to life in prison. There is no clear-cut way to stop that cyberbullying, and tonight, Denver 7's Liz Gilardi is going 360, asking if it's time for that to change.
Just stop. Please just stop.
A plea directed at online bullies.
We just try to ignore it, but sometimes you just can't ignore it.
Frank Rusak said he feels like this was the only option to defend his family. In an attempt to quiet the trolls, he also asked Congress and social media companies to step in. So we're taking a 360 look at cyberbullying when it comes to regulation and responsibility.
We've done a lot in Colorado to address this issue.
We'll start with a state senator who says we need to revisit our laws as bullying goes high-tech. You'll hear from a YouTuber who is appalled to see the discourse online and wants to see companies crack down. A DU professor who is studying cyber victimization. She says we need to take it seriously, but look at why people do this in the first place. And YouTube got back with us saying its policies are rigorously enforced.
I think it's important not to suffer in silence.
Senator Rhonda Fields became a lawmaker after her son was murdered. She applauded Frank Rusak for calling out the bullies and is looking forward to talking with him soon.
People are now doing it in your home when you think you have the privacy, and then you're online and then you see these hateful messages. So it does need to be addressed, and it's being addressed on so many different levels that we need to have better systems in place to stop this kind of thing from happening.
A YouTuber that goes by the name Ginger Ninja reached out to us after she saw our story. She didn't want us to use her real name because the bullying is so bad.
When you have a victim's family that has to go to these extremes to make an announcement that they are feeling this, they're seeing it, something has to be done.
She says she's been flagging numerous posts and social media companies need to be held accountable.
One channel was removed today. I don't know exactly what for, but they're removed for a week. So he went on Facebook and he started streaming from there. It's a direct insult to the Rusak family, and it's heartbreaking.
We reached out to Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. In a statement, YouTube said, "Our hearts go out to the families. We rigorously enforce our policies that prohibit harassment, including removing videos that target victims of violent events or their families, and claim these events were hoaxes or didn't happen when flagged by our users."
This is a form of abuse. It is a form of trauma.
DU professor April Alexander is studying the effects of cyberbullying on the victims, but she's also trying to understand why the bullies do it in the first place.
Sometimes it's attention seeking, not feeling heard in other venues, and so they can feel heard on online platforms that are sometimes anonymous. Sometimes it's a cry for help. Sometimes it is them trying to be malicious and invoke fear in others.
That was Liz Gilardi reporting. Now, we want to know, what do you think should be done to stop these online trolls? Is there a perspective in this story we missed? Let us know with an email to 360@thedenverchannel.com. Today, we are getting a new look at some of the damage from yesterday's storms. These photos are from the Custer County Sheriff's Office. A tornado in Westcliff damaged several homes and outbuildings, and thankfully no one was hurt. And now from the First Alert Weather Center, here's a look at your forecast, and it looks like we're in for storms all week with the highs in the high 80s and in the low 90s. We have some pretty incredible video from Arvada. Watch as smoke billows from a Union Pacific train that caught fire as it chugged along Highway 93 on Sunday. You can see people literally running out of their homes in a panic because of that black cloud that's hovering on their street. Incredibly, no one was hurt. 2 more men have entered guilty pleas for their role in the Lakewood Kids baseball brawl. That makes 7 people to take deals that essentially amount to probation. Others are either still awaiting their time in court or are asking more time to hire attorneys. For most lab animals, there is no life after government service. Many are put down, no questions asked. Well, that could change if a congressman gets his way. He wants to force the feds to find homes for any rabbit, dog, cat, or primate that is eligible for adoption. Julie Germany admits she spoils her dog Violet with love and perhaps one too many treats. Julie feels it helps make up for the time Violet spent as a test subject at an animal testing lab.
They would knock her out and practice operating on her. And then the second test she was enrolled in was for a human pharmaceutical.
Julie volunteered at the lab and helped take care of Violet. She remembers a promise she made to Violet before she adopted her.
And whispered in her ear, "We're going to get you out." And a couple months later, she was up for adoption. Her tests had ended at the lab.
But research shows most government lab animals never get to leave. Instead, they're killed once they're done being used.
I think most of the American people will be shocked to learn that their own government, that they're paying for through their taxpayer dollars, is killing 50,000 animals a year completely needlessly.
Representative Brendan Boyle introduced legislation called the After Act. It would require all federal agencies to come up with a policy to help find a place for approved animals to go, whether that's a home like Julie's or an animal sanctuary.
We have an ethical obligation to make sure that we treat our animals properly. And in a very partisan time, this is an issue where we are able to bring people together for the benefit of animal welfare.
About 10 federal agencies currently use lab animals. That's according to White Coat Waste Project, an animal rights watchdog group. Julie serves on the group's board, which is pushing for the bill and the animals it could help.
This is a great opportunity for those animals, like Violet, to live the lives that they're owed.
This has been your Denver 7 On Demand update. Thank you so much for joining us, and check back here later tonight for another update and download the Denver 7 app for breaking news and alerts. I'm Ann Trujillo.